when you allow people to love you the way they know how, magic. It's magical, because I had no strength. If somebody asked me a question like, hey, we want to set up a food train, what kind of food do you like? I just ignored the email. I couldn't answer. I had made so many decisions in such rapid fire time that when I went down, I was done. I was finished. So I couldn't answer questions. So people showed up and I just allowed them.
Welcome to Grief, Gratitude, and the Gray in Between podcast. I'm your host, Kendra Rinaldi. This is a space to explore the full spectrum of grief, from the kind that comes with death to the kind that shows up in life's many transitions. Through stories and conversations, we remind each other that we're not alone. Your journey matters, and here we're figuring it out together. Let's dive right in to today's episode. You guys are in for a treat today. We have DonnA Meador. She is a woman's dating coach. She herself has been through love, through loss, and rediscovering herself. And she is here to share her own journey of how it is she started Smart Dating Divas on YouTube and how she became the author of the book Dating. It's Not Personal. So we will learn more about you, DonnA. Welcome.
Thank you so much. And I love what you're doing, Kendra. Thank you for sharing your wisdom with the world.
Well, thank you for also reaching out and wanting to be here and being able to share this, because it is so important to be able to have these conversations about how it is to start life again, pretty much not life again, but dating life again in your 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond, which is what you do and who you focus really on coaching. And I cannot wait to hear more about your story. And the reason I said that the listeners are in for a treat is because you have this very exuberant, loving, and energetic, energy, but to be redundant here, about yourself. And so I can't wait to learn more about you and for the listeners to learn more about you as well.
Thank you. What's super exciting for me and connecting with you, Kendra, is we talk often about grief and how it put us in a position of making a decision, didn't it? It sort of catapulted us going, do we want to stay in this place of such heartache? Or do we want to pivot and look for the jewels and the gold and the rainbow, And for me, now my mom just recently transitioned. And since you don't know me that well, I'm a dating intuitive. So your audience is in for a treat for sure, because I'm a dating
Yeah.
intuitive. Who's a dating intuitive? I am. And what does that mean?
Yeah, yes, let's dive. Okay, you can say that, but then I want to dive into more of your past. So tell us what a dating intuitive is, and then I'm going to just start asking some questions here about you.
Thank you. I just recently allowed myself to acknowledge the fact that I have strong intuitions. We often talk about how we play small and we want to be humble and we don't want to be conceited. You know what? Let's just wash the board. And when I stepped into to the understanding that I was truly an intuitive and I'm a woman's dating coach, the two came together like magic. And I'm like stepping into it. I'm like, yeah, because I have given women advice that after it comes out of my mouth, I say to myself, where did that come from? So that is where I sit. Now, when we back up into the grief, for your audience who doesn't know, I became a widow at 57. And my book, Dating It's Not Personal, was actually born from my journey going out dating in my early to mid 40s and all that I went through. Okay, all the limbs of the trees that I've fallen off of, all the stuff that people go through now up until I met and married my late husband. So this is now a love story. He passed away in 2016, but I've had this book now sits in homes in Japan, in Italy, in Germany. Somebody just recently got it. They're in Vienna, and I'm like, and they're saying to me, Donna, you're helping me straighten my crown. I reminded them who they are, and my whole passion once my Pietro departed was I wanted women to understand their value. When it came to relationships, we talk so much about business. We talk so much about being successful. How about being in a really great relationship? And what does that look like? And why do we play small there? Right. I can
Love
go
it.
on a tangent for
Love it.
this
No,
stuff.
no, and we'll definitely talk more about that. What you said about embracing your gifts and being really proud of saying, I am a dating intuitive. It's like I call myself, intuitive grief coach, and
Yes.
really being able to honor those gifts that we have is so important, because when we carry ourselves in that way of the knowing of who we are, then the people that we are going to attract into our lives are really going to also be attracted to that energy, and we're going to attract the right people. I say we. I'm not. I'm with. I could say we in terms of even friendships and community, because I'm
Yes.
married. But I'm saying in general, we want to be able to have the people in our lives have the matching energy that we are also exuding, right? So, in taking ownership of who we are, in embracing all these gifts, it's not proud. It's not like being proudful or arrogant. It's about really being humble that we were given. I'm very much into the spiritual component. We're given, everybody has these gifts. If you do not acknowledge them and take, like you said, and put that crown on of who you are, it's as if you're not acknowledging your creator's capacity of of gifting you these gifts. So thank you
Yeah.
for saying that. Yes. What do you have to? I know you're doing all these. Oh, and people, my normally I just put little clips for people to see of the video. They don't see the whole video. So tell me what about what I was saying was resonating with what message it is that you give.
Yeah, thank you. I bited the chomp here because we all come from our experiences. Every one of us is living the story of our environment, of what we lived. And the intuitive part is about me embracing the fact that it's okay that I have evolved and grown different. Different is my magic word for everybody out there. When I met and married my second husband, my now husband, I call him my now husband because I have a late one and a now one, and they both exist. When I
Yes.
met him, it was hard for me to understand how could I possibly fall in love when I'm already in love. So when we go through these experiences, we don't realize the gifts that are popping up. And you don't have to go through grief to go through this, but we tend not to embrace it. And it took me a couple of years to go, oh yeah, like it's not just me. Like I have this intuition. I'm hugely spiritual. And the fun part about my relationship with my now husband, Jeff, is that he's religious, right? He's a born again Christian. He read the Bible 20 times. He did all those things in his growing up experiences. And I was brought up Catholic. And when I got to be in my, I don't know, 30s or 40s, I started going into spirituality. I was always into the palm readers and the psychics back in the 70s and 80s. And I just found it intriguing. I had no idea that I could actually hone the skill. The knowledge didn't come to me until January of 2025. I'd always been doing it, but I wasn't able to verbalize, oh, you mean I can actually hone it and sharpen it and get better at it? Oh, yeah, I am in. And so it's been a true fun ride with my now husband, Jeff, who says, life is not boring with you, honey. Never boring.
I love that. And I love that you are sharing that part that you said. It's like, how can I be in love with someone if I'm already in love? And being a mother, I know that sometimes even parents when they're about to become parents for the second time, they fear, and I know this fear comes like, how am I going to love another being like I loved my first? And all it is that your heart just grows. You just keep on it. There's room for all this. So the fact that you can still love your late husband Petro, is that correct, Pietro?
Pietro, yeah, yeah.
Pietro, and love your husband, Jeff, your now husband, like you call him, Jeff, is beautiful. So let's back up into your journey of when you became a widow, and
Mm.
how was it for you? Well, was it a sudden widowhood?
Yeah.
Was it something? Okay, share that story, please, with us.
Yeah, happy to share that because grief is part of most of our lives in one way, form, or another. I was with my husband for 10 years total. It was pretty traditional. We met networking, by the way, for all those people who are out there networking, just, FYI. Sometimes it's not a dating app. We met networking and I never saw him coming. Pietro was 12 years older than me. He was an off the boat Italian. Um, I had just taken up cigar smoking at the time. I met him in a members only cigar lounge in New York City, complete with those big old brown leather chairs and a beautiful view of the New York City skyline. I I didn't pay him much attention. We were networking, and he was a furniture installer for corporate, and I was a business development for GC for contracting. So naturally, he was going to chase me. I'm putting quotes in the airs here, and so I just allowed that to happen. Meanwhile, I'm out there dating. At that time, I was in my early to mid 40s, so I'm dating 30-year-olds and 40-year-olds and 50-year-olds. I never saw this 6-year-old coming. So 2 months into it, we meet for a drink to network, and there's a shift that's starting to happen and I can feel it. And I don't quite understand it, but I've learned enough. And if anybody wants to read about those details, they can read it in my book. It's a lot of fun stories in there about real life dating experiences. But I would know Pietro for 2 months before I realized I was in love with him. And it was um, typical timing, right? So like 1 year of courtship, 1 year of engagement, and then we got married. We were together 10 years. And in August of 2016, he called me and he said, I spit up blood. And I was just getting out of a networking event and we went in high gear, as you can imagine. And when you go through something like this, you are in high drive, fight or flight, move everything out of the way, climb over the mountains, run through them, whatever you have to do. And we started the journey. The medical community takes longer than you want them to, right? You do a test and they let you know a week later and you do a test.
Oh my goodness.
But
Yeah, it's so
it,
frustrating. Yeah.
it is. You really have to sit in faith and you have to sort of stay grounded as best you can. And friends of ours said, what would you like, Pietro? Would you like to go traditional, or would you like to know what your options are in Mexico? At that time, we wanted, or you can and do immunotherapy for those of you who are more health conscious or mind where you have ways to cure cancer differently than we up until at that time allowed here in the States. So I
So
let
was it
him make
a
the.
lung diagnosis? Was it a lung cancer diagnosis or what
It
type of
was a
cancer?
It was a cancer diagnosis. There was clearly cancer in his lungs, and because I didn't want to, I shouldn't say I didn't. It wasn't me. I gave everything to
Pietro.
Pietro.
Mhm.
I'm getting my husbands confused.
It's okay.
Um, I wanted him to make the decision. Right, this is his life, but as his wife, I was going to do everything in my power to make it happen. So we start the journey. There's lung cancer, but there's more. There's more, right? But I said to him, do you want to go traditional chemotherapy or do you want to go immunotherapy? We actually went to Mexico and had a meeting with the doctor there. He actually went to the hospital and had the meeting with the doctor there. He made the decision. We made it happen. We had to do a GoFundMe because everything is cash for Mexico. Um, I'm blessed to say that we got the money together. I think at that time was $7,000 a week. We got 2 weeks worth within days. So we got him off to Mexico. I went with him. They do things very differently there, and everything was improving. And the reason I'm kind of not avoiding your question, but the fact is, I, in my heart, didn't want him to go for any kind of biopsy because I knew that once the air hits the cancer, we now have a garden. A garden of weeds and flowers and I didn't want it to grow. And Mexico does it different. They say no, we don't care where your cancer is, we are going to do our treatments, which is like basically took, I don't know, so many vials of blood. They do something with the blood and they put it back into your body. So your own body was fighting the cancer. Big difference than what chemo is. Pietro's wishes for everybody listening, again, I'm very spiritual. Now, Pietro would not have agreed with this in his physical form. But I will tell you now, we have communicated with him in his non-physical form, and it's kind of a big joke, right? But at that time, he didn't understand what was being done, but he knew he wanted to go the natural way. But here's what he told me when I met him. He was 60, I was 48, and we were having a conversation, and he said to me, and I do this all the time. It's not making fun of it, just the way I am. Baby, I'll be happy if I make it to 70. That's what he sounded like. And I remember looking at him going, what's wrong with 80 or 90? Like, why 70? Like, that's only 10 years away, I'm thinking, right? So he declared what his, right, what his path was. Did I know it at the time? No. He also declared he didn't want anybody to see him sick. He didn't want to dwindle in front of people, and he did not want to have pain. Those were his declarations as we started this journey. So he laid out his heart's mission. Now, did I deliberately go, okay, check it off the list? No. But in hindsight, I look back, he got everything he declared. I always say that Pietro and the big man upstairs were in cahoots. Everything he wanted, he got. So in Mexico, while we were getting ready for him to come home for our celebratory Thanksgiving feast, because he was improving greatly. His
'Cause
no
how
more,
long were you there? How long were you
we
there?
we were there for 3 weeks. He was there
3
for
weeks,
three
okay.
weeks. I went back and forth about 3 times. Um, he went in, right? So in August is when he spit up blood. Now we're heading into November because it took us a month to get it all together, the money and the schedule, the whole thing. And now we're in Mexico for 3 weeks. We're getting ready for him to come home, and we're so excited because he is improving. There's no more uh, tumors in his head. His cancer is diminishing. No more cancer in the brain. Like he had it all over. And then on November 10th at 7:10 p.m. Pacific time, I get a phone call. Pietro had simultaneously had a heart attack and a stroke and was gone. So when he went down, I certainly did. So it was quick,
Which is what he had wanted something without pain and
right?
wow.
He declared. And the greatest gift I took away from that, as time went on, because it is a punch in the gut, um, he we had hope. He departed with hope in his heart.
Mm.
Can you ask for more than that? And my sister, who had widowed a couple of years before me, called me up the day before that happened. And this was the biggest gift that I couldn't see at the moment, but I saw after. She said, you know, my husband never had hope. Pietro has hope. And that was the biggest gift. It's true. He set sail with hope in his wings, and he got everything he requested, he desired, he laid out. And it all happened 10 days after or 15 days after his 70th birthday.
Just like he had also declared, that
Yes.
70.
And I
It's
got to be there
incredible
with him.
the power of words, or there's like a knowing or
I
something
know.
that there's a
Yes.
knowing. I'm gonna interject like a bit to share a little bit of my story here with you, but my sister died at 18 in a car accident, but she used to be like, she was, I guess, reading her palm, like trying to do the whole lifeline things. And then she said something like, I know I'm going to die young, to somebody else, not to me, but to somebody else, that she had said, I know I'm going to die young. It's not that I'm afraid of dying. It's just I'm afraid I haven't done like enough. That was her thing, but it was, I did not know that till after she passed, that she had said that. But it was just looking at her lifeline and her saying this at 18, like who would say, I know
Yeah.
I'm gonna die, you know? So yeah, some of these things that it's like interesting how the soul just knows and then we verbalize it somehow.
Yeah.
So you become he transitions, and I'm using that word since you also use that for your mom. Um, you become a widow, quote unquote. And then you had your sister then who had been through that. So that was part of your support system. And what else made part of your support system? And what other tools did you use at the beginning of your grief journey?
It's interesting. My sister could not be a support system for me, even though she wanted to, because we went two different routes. Her husband went chemotherapy, and I just couldn't attach to that in my heart. So it wasn't for her lack of her trying. It was just I couldn't resonate with it. My support system was fat. Oh, this is so good. I'm so glad you said this. For the listeners hearing this, my support system came to me because I had the energy that was open to allow it. This is super important. Okay, because I had been out networking in many different women's groups, and when this took place, everybody was aware of it because I wasn't showing up for meetings, obviously. And when Pietro passed and I went down, and by the way, it was friends and family and networkers and anybody who stepped into my world, I just received them. And another great lesson I learned, and I'd love your listeners to embrace this, is when you allow people to love you the way they know how, magic. It's magical because I had no strength. If somebody asked me a question like, hey, we want to set up a food train. What kind of food do you like? I just ignored the email. I couldn't answer. I had made so many decisions in such rapid fire time that when I went down, I was done. I was finished. So I couldn't answer questions. So people showed up and I just allowed them. Sometimes I got a text and said, I want to come over. And I say, okay, I have nothing. You, the door's open. I got nothing. I can't even talk to you. They didn't care. They came, they brought food, they brought flowers. I had a cousin come and rearrange my house a little bit to help me shift the energy, to help me see things differently. I had a friend that came one day a month for 4 months to go around my house and pick up the mail that I was not opening and to make sure bills were being paid. And she would just, where's your checkbook? I hand it to her. She'd fill it out, sign it. I couldn't think. I couldn't do. I was done making decisions. Some of my siblings showed up to walk me through the first couple of through Thanksgiving, by the way, through Thanksgiving, right? Because that was November 10th. I'm getting chills all along this, so I'm feeling like Pietro's here and he's right here with me. Um, oh, so good.
Chills is my sign too. Chills is my sign when I'm connected or when I've hit something too. Like that's so funny that yours is also chills.
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah. Oh, and sometimes it goes right to my head, but yeah,
Mm.
he's here. Now, if you want a funny story later, I'll tell you a funny story. But
Yes.
anyway, when you
So they're
allow
all
people to
helping you through Thanksgiving, everybody just being there,
everything,
your sibling. Yeah.
yeah,
I
it
love what
just
you're saying. Yeah. Allowing people to help you in the way you know how. But what is key there
they know
too
how.
is that that they know how, but it's also the fact that you were open to receiving it is what
Yes,
allowed them to also be themselves. Because a lot of times too, when we're not and we are like judging the way that people are supporting us, then people may start supporting us because we're also judging
Those
the way that they are
yeah,
supporting
we
us.
we don't need to. We can just step back and go have at it. I mean, I woke up one morning, there was a pot of soup at my front door. It was amazing. And the reason I bring this up is because interestingly enough, but not surprisingly, widows come to me and they want to know what now, what next, right? So, but if widowship is really new, I can sense the energy, going back to the intuition again. I can feel that they are resistance for help. And sometimes it just means holding the space for somebody. But I had a very recent experience where I wanted to go be a support, had no idea how. I knew if I asked her, she'd say she wouldn't need it. So I just went and I went to Sprouts and I picked up a couple of roasted chickens and a couple of side dishes. I didn't call her and tell her I was coming because she would have resisted. I showed up. She wasn't home. I sat on her front porch, by the way, in the summer in Arizona for an hour before she showed up. And it was so sweet because about a week ago, she called me and said, I want you to know that I'm weird right now, which is perfect, right? And I know what kind of courage it took for you to show up, not only because I'm weird right now, but also because you've been through it. And I said, yes, and thank you for acknowledging that. But it didn't matter. I was just there to hold the space.
Hi, I just had to come on and just kind of interrupt right now this episode that you're hearing. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful that you guys are listening to this conversation. And every single time I hear a guest, there's something new that I learn and something else that ends up showing up within me that I realize I still have to work on. And if by chance, as you're listening to this conversation, you're feeling the same, that there's parts of you that are being stirred up and you are navigating a life transition right now that feels just heavy and stressful and just layered with grief, I want you to know that you do not have to do it alone. I invite you to connect with me for a free 15-minute discovery call, and we'll explore what's coming up for you and see if working together feels like the right fit. Just check the show notes below for my email and reach out for details. I'd really love to support you in integrating these transitions with more ease and clarity. Can't wait to hear back from you. Okay, let's keep on listening to the episode.
I could not make decisions, Kendra, for almost 2 years when I went on my first date with my now husband. And I have a lot of funny stories to tell about that. I was dating multiple men. I was not interested. Okay. I was in my protective bubble. I was not interested in love and marriage, where I'm just looking for companionship, everybody. Okay. I'm a woman. It took me 8 months for my body to wake up again. I wanted to fulfill that. Okay. This is what I talk to widows about as well. And so I'm very honest. And I say to my now husband on our first date, I don't think you understand. Like, we're not on the same page, so you don't have to take me to dinner. This is on the phone call prior to the date. We met on a dating app, and he said, "No, no, I want to take you to dinner." I go, "Okay, but it's your dime because I'm not looking for love and marriage. You are, but okay. Like, I'm okay with a drink, whatever. Maybe some good old fashioned, fun. I don't know how PG or have to stay on this call, but you know,
You'd be you. You be you.
you be you. Yeah, I was looking for some good loving gang without attachment. Okay. And I was very clear about it. And the men I was with were happy and very clear about where they were at. It was all perfect. My point of me telling you this story is that I couldn't make decisions. So when I went on this date with Mr. Jeff, I said, "Oh, by the way, I don't read menus." Reading a menu was gonna it was gonna be the straw that broke the camel's back for me. It's like stepping into an airport. There's a lot of stimulants. Like, there's a lot of things to look at. I don't read menus. He goes, "Oh, okay. Well, we were in the steakhouse. What would you like? Filet mignon. What kind of side dish? What are my choices? Okay, I'll take broccoli." What like I wouldn't even look at the menu.
That is
And
crazy. It's so interesting that even, yeah, this is this is with the grief brain, or this is always?
Yes.
This is the grief
No.
brain. Okay, okay.
This is
This is the
this is
grief
grief
brain.
brain.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I was down and out. Decision making was it took effort. I didn't even want men. If we went on a date, which the men I went with, we went out. They paid for dinner. What's available? What I got? I didn't. Um, don't call me. Don't ask me what I'm doing next week. Just send me a text when you want to connect again. That was it. So here's Jeff going. Okay, what kind of wine do you like? Red. Um, what blah blah blah. I go dry. I don't like sweet. I'm telling him he's ordering. He's doing a great job, by the way. But the message for this story is, and I love that you called it grief brain because I had not looked at it that way, but it absolutely was. So I met Jeff 1.5 years after Pietro passed, and almost 6 months later, 5 or 6 months later, we're now a thing. I declared my love. He knew on his second date he was going to spend the rest of his life with me. He was smart to not tell me. Um, it took me another 5 days. I'm not going to lie. I never saw anybody else again once I met Mr. Jeffrey. And about 5 months, we go to lunch, a beautiful little place in Phoenix, and we're sitting there in this. And this brings tears to my eyes too. I get choked about it. And I pick up the menu and I look at it and I start reading it. And I put the menu down and I tell him, oh, such and such looks good. And we both stopped and we just stared at each other. And across the table, we just held hands with the buzz of the waitresses and the waiters buzzing around us and the people in this cute little cafe. And we both knew I was healing. It was such a moment. Yeah.
That's so beautiful. Yeah, the simplest little thing, but the fact that he knew exactly what that meant as well, because he had already had to order everything for you on the first date. And so 5
Yes.
months later, the fact that you were that is so moving. Thank you for sharing that
Oh,
story. Thank you, and that journey. So
yeah.
at what point then did you say, "Okay, I know you said you acknowledged that you're an intuitive dater is it January, but that
Mhm.
you've been doing it, but when did you really start kind of putting things together and start giving people advice in their dating life and especially, focusing it on women?"
This is going to be fun because let's go back to the book for a second because I've got to give you a little history on this. I started to write this book in 2004. Think about that. 20 years ago. Now, dating never changes. The apps do. So the fun information in this book is still relevant today, right? But 2004 was a time, Kendra, remember, you couldn't just publish a book. You needed a good $60,000 to publish a book unless you had a literary agent. So 10 years later, I was able to find somebody who did private publishing, and I revised the book because it had been 10 years since I'd looked at it and cleaned it up and all, brought it more up to date just on my own experiences. And I was able to publish it in 2014.
Oh, 2 years before Pietro died. Okay, okay.
Right. Good job. I
Uh-huh.
actually
I can
dedicated
do
the book.
math.
Well, because you're connecting the dots. You're absolutely right.
Yes,
So
that is before you became. Yes, okay.
right? So in 2004, I go out dating. Read all the books, by the way. I've done all the homework. I'm reading Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, the
Mhm.
rules. I'm doing the work. I'm putting it into practice, and there's something missing for me. So I start to write the book. I have no insight. I never know that 20 years from now I'm going to be on Kindra's podcast talking about my book. I don't even think about how I'm going to publish it. All I know is I'm writing a book. 10 years later, I get to publish it. It's dedicated to Pietro, and I wouldn't let him read. He didn't want to read it actually until it was published, and it's all my dating escapades up until I meet and marry him. So there's a lot of good tips in here that are not dated, which is really wonderful. And then he passes away, and it dawns on me: my book is a love story. His kids, grandkids, great grands, those who aren't even born yet are going to know about his love story with me if they read this book. This is my journey up until how I met him. Then I stopped writing the book. I stopped doing the research. So we're now at 2014, and now 2024, I decide and by the way, my message is and has always been, and it's on the back of this book. I actually had been saying it for so long, I didn't even realize I wrote it on the back of this book. Is my heart, my obsession is helping women understand their value when it comes to relationships as they go out dating later in life. Whatever that is, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, I don't care. We have value and we undermine our own value. Kendra, I stepped into my brilliance, something, by the way, I never admitted. Because why? I was an average C student in high school. And that's how I saw myself almost my entire life. But now I go out there and I'm obsessed and I start talking about my book. I don't see the value in it yet. I'm not selling it. I'm actually giving it away. I actually don't even, I did a behavioral test, and I am an engager, and I'm 92% relationship driven, which means the other end of that stick is 8% results. So I pay little attention to results up until my understanding that. So you can imagine I'm just going out there talking, and I'm helping strangers in coffee lines, and if I'm at a conference, I'm just helping people as I go, and I got emails and testimonies from people along the way, still not embracing and receiving that which I'm handing out. Okay. Not until Jeffrey steps into my life. He saw in me the thing that I didn't allow myself to see. And his brilliance, he didn't just tell me why I was amazing. He always tells me why. Do you realize who you are, honey? I don't think you do. I see you in front of millions. Your message, you're going to help millions of women. You are thoughtful. You have clarity. I don't get just you're beautiful, although he thinks I am. Even in the morning when I have no makeup on and my hair is looking like a bird's nest, he thinks I'm gorgeous. I'm okay with that. And he has blown wind under my wings all along my path. And now I say, you're right. I am effing brilliant. Holy mackerel. And so now, once I embrace that, I now hear the messages going to these women, and I go, thank you. Thank you, Angel. Thank you, Spirit Guides. Thank you, A Team, for assisting me with helping these women understand their value. It's not about me, Kendra. I'm a vessel, and I love it. I'm obsessed.
I I love all this story. Thank you again for sharing, and I did not know the timeline then of the book. I thought it was a recent book, and now knowing that originally it was 2014, and that you started 2004, 2014 you launched, and then you relaunched it again in 2024. So that's amazing. And the fact what you're saying of us embracing the part of being a vessel and being able to be of service in the way that we best know how, and is what you do now, stepping into not only something that you yourself have lived through, right? But then you can relate in that way, but you've also just embraced all these gifts, and it can be so empowering for somebody that is going through something to be able to see someone embracing their own gifts and power, right? Because it gives hope for someone else. So
Yes.
who you said that the majority of the women that reach out are widows, who divorcees, it's people
Yeah.
that have never been married. Like, tell us a little bit of the clientele that reaches out to you.
Yeah, it's really been a fun journey. I've been on Facebook since 2015 and 16. I started that journey as a dare. Facebook Live was really new at the time, and as soon as I went on camera, I was hooked. And so I started this thing called Daily Dose of Donna, which was just giving some dating tips out of my heart. And so it created my brand, and And during this process of doing this, that's when Pietro spit up blood and got sick. So now I'm continuing this 5 minute dating tip thing, but people are also witnessing the journey of what Pietro's going through. And I don't stop doing this. So people around the world who are start following, I create a following and I don't even know it. So I'm just sharing the story. We're in Mexico. Here we are. Don't forget. And I'm giving tips on dating and relationships and how to stay in your positive space, which I called setting your dial to joy. And I did not know I was creating a thing, Kendra. I was just doing it, right? And so, what does that mean? Well, when Pietro departed, I stopped doing it. Prior to that, people couldn't figure out why I was still doing it. They're like, what is this, a reality show? Like, this is a mission. I consider this your calling. Like, there was amazing feedback I got. After he departed, I stopped. I got on an airplane and went to mom and dad's for a month with my little doggy to heal and be cradled. And about a month after that, somebody sends me a message through Messenger. I wish I could figure out who they were, but it's too long ago now. And they said to me, "How are you doing?" And I said the same thing I always say, every day a little better. And they said, "Oh, good. We were wondering what you were going to do." And I said, "About what?" And they said, "Well, we were wondering when you were going to come back." And I said, "Back to what?" I didn't have any clue people were waiting for me. So, with that nudge, I got together myself and I did a silent video with papers, the kind you, and I'm telling the story. It's about 5 minutes long. I think it got over 1,000 views in a day. Like, I posted it was on Facebook. And yeah, so then I started to collect all my stuff. And I think I started to look at this as not just fulfilling for millions, but how can I turn it into a, a business without it feeling like a business. So I want it, and once we start talking techie, remember I'm 92% relationship driven. Now we're talking software and all the components. Ooh, so that has been the biggest challenge, but everything is figure outable. And so now I have a YouTube channel with, I think as of date, over 500 subscribers. It's called Smart Dating Divas. It works. It's just beautiful. Like, we get out and tell our story. And what's really fun is Jeff does it with me. So I'm still a woman's dating coach, but we get the man's perspective, which is just super fun because he's a hoot and a half. And we also have a podcast called The Couple Effect on that channel that we had created 13 episodes and loaded up on YouTube. It was originally supposed to be on a TV platform that didn't come to fruition. And I said, well, we own the episodes. Let's put them on. And it's about relationships and retaining and encouraging intimacy and the value of that in relationship and how your partner can be part of the mission. And then your mission makes your relationships better. I mean, it just works.
Oh,
So it's been the journey.
that's been well, wow. Yeah, that is quite the journey. Yes, a lot of different years. And the fact that Jeff is both of your husbands were part of really that support for you. And that also helped you step into yourself even more to have them backing you up. So that
100,
is
100%.
fabulous. Yes, I love
100%.
that.
Thank you. I also have a membership, smartdatingdivas.com. And if they want a /ABC, it's a freebie for the
Okay.
3 pillars that I literally use to meet and marry 2 incredible men in a row. So when people say to me, there's no good men out there, I go, honey, if you're not having fun dating, you are doing it wrong. Grab my freebie, ABC, smartdatingdivas.com /ABC, and look at what I literally did to meet and marry these 2 amazing men. Yeah.
Perfect. So yeah, you're not just like saying stuff. There's sometimes I see these shows and it's like dating advice, but the person's not even married. And then you're like, well, how are they sharing information about it if they haven't even found, a lot of times like you kind of it doesn't I'm like, I don't know. How do I apply that if it hasn't worked for you? But
I know.
you have the you have you have a success, you have had success with 2 marriages, so that shows it works. So, all these links will be in the show notes. Now, one thing I wanted to ask that I forgot. So, Donna, when I received, your email, it said Donna, and it had this A on it. I'm like, "It must be a typo." The A was upper, how do you what is
Capital.
it called? A capital A, so it's DONN, capital A, I'm like, "Oh, it must be a typo." I wrote about so how what made you choose to have the Donna Dawn, A, the capital A afterwards? What was that choice, and was it a choice, or is it just how well, yeah, tell us the creative choice
That is so
of,
fun.
I'm like, yeah, I'm just curious.
I'll bring it right to the punch. I When we went on into COVID and everybody went online, I wanted to set myself apart from the other Donnas. I mean, Donna's a common name. It's common, right? So listen, my parents didn't even give us a middle name. I mean, my maiden name is Brancaccio. It's like 10 letters long. So how do I set myself apart? And that just seemed like, oh well, that's easy. Especially since I was married to an off the boat Italian. Everything sounded like a this, you see? So
Donna, Donna.
yeah, yeah, daily dose, Donna, not So
Ah,
it just flowed, and I realized it doesn't make sense to a lot of people. But you know what? People are used to seeing it now. And if you're on a Zoom call and you're looking at comments and you see that, you know it's me. You don't even have
mhm.
to think about look at the picture. What's that last name? You don't even need a last name. You know it's me if I'm on a Zoom call, and it's the same reason I'm going to share with you why I have red in my hair. This is not just a design. This was an experience I had, and I know a lot of people who've gone through the grieving process. It does change you, Kendra. You have
Mhm,
stated
mhm.
that, and I went for my hair to get done. I went to get my hair cut about 3 weeks after Pietro departed, and as she's cutting my hair, I'm staring in the mirror. I don't know who I am. You look the same, but you're not the same. And so to the end of the session, I say to her, I need a little bit of red, of which she says we have no time. And I said, great, I'm going to go home and do it myself. In which case she said, all right, I'll put a little bit in. Well, over the years, I started doing it myself and I got to be a little bit more, but it also became my brand. This is my logo. Where's my camera? So now we have two heads, Jeff and I, with as our as our logo. But that's my logo. It's like it became I'm a changed woman. And this I needed an outward visual to show that I'm now different. And another thing happened. Now, losing a parent for me was different than losing a spouse. Now remember, I lost my spouse first. Then my dad departed 4 months later, after Jeff and I got married, or actually 4 months before Jeff and I got married. So Pietro passed, right? Okay, I'm getting my husband's confused. So um, I couldn't feel my dad. Like I couldn't feel it because the pain, the cut is deepest for a spouse and a child. Those griefs are deeper. I'm told. I've not lost a child. I've never had born children to me. So when my dad passed and I kind of couldn't feel it, I just took it to mean that well, he was my dad and he was in his upper 80s, and it's a little bit more expected, right? Um, but it's also because of my belief system. And I will tell you, I have this most amazing picture of my mom when she was getting ready to transition. She was so happy. I have a picture of her. She's so happy, grabbing my face to kiss me. She was excited about the next step. She was excited about meeting her two little babies that she never got to meet because they were born so preemie that they took them away and then they passed like a couple of hours later. So I'm getting to know my brother and sister who I never got to meet because I'm now tuning into not only my intuition, but studying my mediumship and channeling abilities and wanting to connect with the people beyond the veil because they're not dead. Dead for me does not exist. So that's how I work with grief and understanding. Do I miss my mother? Oh yeah. But then I talk to her every single day and I will tell you, Pietro shows up and he recently spoke to Jeff, which was so much fun. He came to Jeff in a session. We do a lot of energy work, and we were doing cranial sacral work, and with this amazing man in Carefree, Arizona. But on the table, Pietro joined Jeff, and this was like he's like, oh my gosh, Jeff is here. Pietro's here, and they had a conversation, and Pietro wanted to thank Jeff for treating me as well as he does. And Pietro also told Jeff, I'm your spirit guide. And Jeff said, I don't believe in spirit guides. All I need is the Holy Spirit. And Pietro said, that's okay. I'm still going to help you. So,
And with his Italian accent as well. Oh my gosh. I love it. I love it.
so when we were open to those magical moments,
Mhm.
Kendra, oh my
It
gosh,
changes. Yeah.
why?
Yeah, it changes everything. I tell people like it doesn't matter what other people believe. It matters what you believe and what it is that helps you in your grief journey. And if your spiritual convictions help you and make you feel better about your grief experience, follow that. If your non-spiritual beliefs make you feel better in your grief, if you don't believe in something else and that still makes you feel better, then hold on to that. Hold on to whatever brings you comfort, I feel is the best. And for a lot of us, it is holding on to the truths that we have already experienced ourselves in that knowing. So thank you. Thank you so much, Donna. Donna, as we're wrapping up, okay, you've said how people can reach you in the Smart Dating Divas.com, on the website, on the YouTube channel, and we'll have those links below. Now, is there something I have not asked you that you want to make sure that you share with the audience as we wrap up? Any last minute words that you want to share?
I'm just reaching into my spirit to see the message that always is prevalent for me is for the women to understand their value. So when you go out to look for love, the biggest tip I will give you is look for love where it is and not where it isn't. And if you grab the freebie, you'll see how those pillars align with that. Yeah. Thank you for
Thank
asking.
you. Thank you so much. Again, this was DonnA Meador, and I'm just so honored that you were on the podcast sharing your joy, sharing your purpose, and yeah, just sharing your story. Thank you, Donna.
Thank you.
Thank you again so much for choosing to listen today. I hope that you can take away a few nuggets from today's episode that can bring you comfort in your times of grief. If so, it would mean so much to me if you would rate and comment on this episode. And if you feel inspired in some way to share it with someone who may need to hear this, please do so. Also, if you or someone you know has a story of grief and gratitude that should be shared so that others can be inspired as well, please reach out to me. And thanks once again for tuning in to Grief, Gratitude, and the Gray in Between podcast. Have a beautiful day.